But it's gambling without odds, because it is kind of gambling, isn't it? You don't know what you're going to get. And people spend a fortune on these packs and very often don't even get something from the level they wanted to get. Oh, get the government involved. There you go. Big Jeff, forget the royal wedding. Cancel the royal wedding. Big Jim wants a word. People, welcome to another edition of that finger-tapping frenzy that we all know and love. It's WWE SuperCard with me, Big Jim, here at BadLadDad HQ. Well, we've finally got ourselves a female as part of the Road to Glory, and it's Nia Jax. And I want to come on to that shortly and just tell you why you've got to do it, people. I know some of you don't like grinding. I know some of you just find Road to Glory the most boring thing in the world. But you've got to do it. You've got to do it. You can't not go for it. Let's have a look at a couple of other things. But first, I just want to say props to WrestleCrate UK. The guys there churning out the merchandise on a monthly basis. And in last month's crate, in April's crate, there was a particular T-shirt of Flash Morgan Webster. He's a UK wrestler from Wales. And I'm very pleased to say I got that last week. And then what happened at Smackdown on Tuesday evening at the O2 Arena in London? They were recording an episode of 205 Live. Who turned up and was fighting with none other than Cedric, the champion, and with Mustafa Ali. It was Flash Morgan Webster. I'm wearing it in pride and honour of his appearance. I'll just actually stand up because you can't really see it, can you? Let's just have a look. See? Doing a very typically British thing there. So there you go. Cracking T-shirt, cracking fella, cracking show. So yeah, Smackdown, very enjoyable evening out, and also pleased to say that a lot of the people who were scheduled to appear did appear. Daniel Bryan, who we've tried to see before 4 or 5 times, now obviously we thought we'd missed our chance, but now back in action, so it's good to see him. Miz is always entertaining. He was in the Dark Show with Jeff Hardy, and Jeff Hardy injured his leg running round, shaking hands with everyone. Not quite sure how he did it, but when he turned to then get into the ring, he was like, whoo. So whether that's going to be a long-term thing, I don't know. But he carried on. Fair play to him. He carried on. He wasn't going to like back out, but it was a proper title fight too, and he did win it, but not without some discomfort. Right, let's have a look at the cards. There's news on the fusions. The Chambre de Fusion, and I have already chucked in my John Cena card. Can I touch this without it telling me to finish it? Yes, I can. So quite a few NXT people making an appearance. Some perhaps more deserving of others. That's for you to decide, really, I guess. I've got my opinion on it. And a couple of lasses there. Now, I've got a John Cena single, which I've thrown in. And I've got a Page single. So I've got a bit of a problem, because if I go through the other fusion I've got, Titan Fusion, is my Becky Pro. So I'm going to have to start from scratch on doing another fusion, and it takes, when you add all this up, it's going to take you a month to get through doing a fusion. Now if I get to the Titan level and I pull another Page, do I turn that Page into a Pro, or do I carry on and burn her up in the Fusion Chamber and try and get a Pro from the WrestleMania 34 level? It's going to be a tricky one, that. And bearing in mind it does take a month to get it done if you're starting from scratch. It's not something that, it's not a decision you want to take lightly. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, shall we? Because I'm probably never going to crop up. King of the Ring, all in the final. Doing okay, as you can see. Again, just the tactic of playing while I'm around and setting up while I'm around. So I think actually in the first round I knew I'd missed the first couple of games and I was 2-0 down, and then I came back on 1-3-2. But I think my last opponent wasn't around. If we let's just have a check, see how we're doing. Yeah, look, he's obviously wasn't powered up from the start. So guy gets to a semi-final and then doesn't play his matches. So he could have beaten me, but you're not going to beat me if you don't power up. It's that simple. So we're in a final. Fingers crossed, might get something there. Royal Rumble, I've done a bit. As you can see, I'm in 7th place there because I want to try and protect the momentum slots I've got. But Road to Glory, this is a big Road to Glory for me. This is a huge Road to Glory for me. because I have already got The Rock, and I've got him fully, all his matches are played, he's fully powered up and leveled up. Now what I would say is, even if you don't have The Rock right now, that is a good card. That is a very good card. If you're at a lower level and you feel you always struggle to get those higher end cards, you've got to at least try and get yourself The Rock. That is a very strong card, and that, if you manage to get a pro of that once you get into WrestleMania level, that is going to really stand you in good stead. Particularly as, of course, when you come up levels, when that level's already been around for a little while, and you see all these people with their WrestleMania 34 event cards, you want to try and be competitive to a degree. So if you've got a higher end WrestleMania 34 card that's become a pro, then obviously you stand a better chance of staking your claim for some wins in that King of the Ring. Nia Jax. It's great to have a female. We've seen her as an event card before, but it's not. I'm not too displeased with it, because we've had Alexa Bliss so many times, I've lost count, and Charlotte's injured at the moment. She's someone who should have been at Smackdown on Tuesday and wasn't. So I'm pleased with Nia Jax. I'll take Nia Jax, and I'm really going to have a go at the Heroic. I think it's important to try and get as strong a version as possible. One word of warning though, more looking ahead to Last Man Standing, if we ever play that again, just be careful if you've not got a WrestleMania Pro female yet, and you do get Nia Jax as a pro card, just think twice about proing her, because when you get into Last Man Standing, it will look at your best card and try and match you up accordingly with people, certainly on the female front, with females of that sort of stature. So I'm okay at the moment, because I've got Paige, which is the Titan event card, as a pro. Then I've got Becky, who's the Fusion, as a pro. Very similar in strength. And a couple of high-end Titan Pro females. So my female matches were fairly comfortable, but I've seen people who've got maybe one WrestleMania Pro or two, even some with 3 WrestleMania female pros, and they're just getting absolutely hammered every time because they're facing high-end WrestleMania female pros. So just be aware of that. Depends how serious you want to take Last Man Standing, and of course that will depend on whether they change the rules as to how it's being played at the moment, because I don't think they're going to get away with doing what they did with the last one. Are they? No. We won't be happy if they try and do that. Anyway, I'm going to just bang through a few matches. As you can see, I've made a bit of a start. Here we are in the middle of day 1. So I just want to crack on with that. My deck, you will see, is full of, and I've got some doublers on, because I'm really going to have a crack at this Heroic. I want to make sure I get it. I don't want any mistakes. I don't want to miss out like I did with Jeff Hardy. That was stupid. I'm still kicking myself for it. Still blaming just myself for it, mind. But yeah, I want to make sure that I give myself every opportunity to try and get this this card, because there will be time. But let's face it, all of us, in a 4-day period, unless you're very lucky, very rich, and can afford to lie around doing what you want, you're unlikely to be able to play for 4 days solid. So you're going to have to try and play in whatever spare time you've got. Now, weekends, for a lot of people, is when you've got full days. For me, being a sports journalist, that sometimes isn't possible. And I'm in a position where, because I work freelance, I've powered through some work for this week, which I finished this morning, to clear the decks so I can have a good go at this. But if some work crops up this evening or tomorrow, I'm going to have to grab that work, and this is going to take a back seat. So, moments like this, at times like these, you play SuperCard again. Times like these, you've got to get stuck in and play as much as you can. I have to say, I'm not the world's best exponent of tactics on SuperCard when it comes to allocating time, because you can find me playing at 4 o'clock in the morning sometimes. You can equally find me passing out through fatigue an hour before deadline and missing out on the event card, which has happened now 3 times over these 4 seasons. The 4 seasons of SuperCard. It's an absolute pizza of SuperCard. So I'm sure you've all got your own ways of playing, and I'm sure some of you are perhaps deliberating over whether it's worth you trying to go for it even. I know Ninja Boy's like that. I think if he went for Nia Jax and managed to get Nia Jax, she would be his strongest female card. But he's obviously got school Thursday and Friday, which takes him out of the equation, and he only has a certain amount of time early evening before he's ordered to go to bed. So he has to cram in maybe 2.5 to 3 hours of gameplay this evening and tomorrow evening, and then see where he stands for the weekend. And it's quite nice weather out there again in London. We're having quite nice weather. And don't anyone say, are we going to be watching the Royal Wedding on Saturday? Because no, we're not going to be watching the Royal Wedding. We'll be watching the Cup Final on Saturday on the telly, and then we'll probably go out and do other things. Ninja Boy's mum will be watching the Royal Wedding in another room on another telly, well away from the boys. I can assure you of that. And what else have I got to tell you? I've had some pulls. What did I pull? I have pulled something. What did I pull? What did I pull? What did I pull? Oh, what did I can't remember what it was I pulled now. Did I tell you about Kevin Owens? Oh, I can't remember if I told you about Kevin Owens. I haven't pulled another female yet. I told you about, you saw Ember Moon, didn't you? I'm sure you saw Ember Moon in one of the videos. So, I haven't had any further WrestleMania females. It's just getting a bit... It gets like that with the game, doesn't it? You just get a lot of singles, and females are always the toughest ones. And waiting to get those pros. And as usually what happens is you wait for flipping ages, and they're like buses, about 3 come along at the same time. But it would be nice to convert one of those WrestleMania single females into a pro female. But having said that, obviously something's going to happen in the next week and a bit with Nia Jax. And I'll be very surprised if we don't get 1, if not 2 pulls through the course of this Road to Glory. Because obviously you're powering through the games, and if you're WrestleMania 34 plus, it's going to happen. Just on another note, on sort of gameplay in general, actually I'll come on. I'm sure you all know, those of you in a lower tier may not know, I keep forgetting some of you are newer to the game. There is the trick you can do. Trick, is that right? It's a tactic you can do. If you get to the higher cards and you really can't win any matches at all, what you do is fill your deck with the green uncommon cards and make sure that you've got your 2 best support cards in play. And then in theory you will, when you're playing opponents at the 1 point or 2 point level, if you've got doublers on, but at the 1 point level, any opponent you play will have a deck of similar cards, but your support cards will mean that you'll have the edge over them, and you can chisel your way point by point through to the win. Now, I must have passed on that tactic, goodness knows how many times over the last few years now, because it worked in previous seasons. But we do forget that some of you, of course, aren't up in the top tier. You want to know how you can get to the top tier and what things you can do, how you can employ various tactics to help you do that. And I haven't forgotten, I'm going to do a video with the second account I have, Enkyoko, which is currently in Beast tier. Not an account I use an awful lot, but as I mentioned, it's in Beast tier, which has been done through various methods, which I shall relay in that video, which I shall try and do this weekend for you, so you can see what I'm doing. I'm pretty sure through chaining the King of the Rings with Enkyoko, I must have at least 100 picks to do off the board on that account, if not 120. For some reason with the King of the Ring, those picks that you pull as you're going through the various stages, it doesn't seem to cap them. So if you play 10 or 15 or 20 King of the Rings, in theory, all of those picks that you've collected over that course of time should be there waiting for you when you eventually do play an individual match, and then go to collect your winnings or even your losings. So we can do that together. Whilst I'm talking, actually, I think I must have 4 or 5 grand of the after that last PvP. I must have 4 or 5 grand of those points, I might as well just chuck them at a couple of packs and see how we get on. I'm not interested in that Camilla card back. I've reverted back. I bought the AJ Styles card back, and I've reverted back to the AJ Styles. So we'll just quickly get through this game. Yeah, Smackdown. It's always interesting seeing how they edit down the programs. Where we were up in the lap of the gods for this one. It wasn't a hosted thing. We obviously had to pay our own way. And the atmosphere where we were was brilliant. There was just chanting and singing and yelling and catcalling and what? All sorts going on. But that didn't particularly come across in the TV coverage. If anything, they seem to mute the crowd in certain places. Now, I know that's an old trick they do with whenever Roman Reigns comes out. And it's like you don't hear the boos. You see a lot of people going, ah, you don't hear any sound. But I don't quite get it. Like, Miz got a great reception. But of course, he just came out to do some co-commentary. So they obviously didn't feel it was worth showing the reception that he got. The tag team match with The Bar against New Day, the crowd were loving that. It was a really good match, and you could really hear there's some big contact being made during that. There's a lot of slapping going on, and the crowd were lapping it up, and there's plenty of chanting going on. And again, it just didn't seem to come across on the TV. So whether that's the sound man's not doing his job properly, or they're deliberately muting bits, or what, for what purpose, I have no idea. Really don't know. Because it's strange, you know. I'm no stranger to being in a sports crowd, as you can imagine. And I know when people are making a noise and when people are sitting on their hands. And it certainly wasn't a case of sitting on their hands on Tuesday evening. It was a raucous atmosphere, and it was a good night. Right, I'm just going to go into this, into rewards. How many more days before they refresh this? 2 weeks. Don't need any of that nonsense. So let's open a couple of packs. Right, what do we reckon? Not even worth any build-up, this, is it? No, 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 monster. Oh, beast, you idiot. He said something rude then. Gotta be careful. Watch your language, young Jim. This is a family show. No, 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 no. All nonsense. Cannon fodder for the feeding of other cards. Well, there you go. 4 grand. Gone like that. How long does it take to earn 4 grand? 3 events? Something like that? Oh, who knows? Who knows? Who cares? It's all rubbish. Is there anything else I can do? Is there anything else? No. I'm just going to go back. Was anyone buying these 540 credit packs? Anyone getting a WrestleMania card from those? No. When are we going to see the odds? Print the odds. We should know the odds of getting a card. It should be not just this game. All the games will expect you to spend money. I don't know who would bring in the legislation, because of course different games come from different countries and it's difficult to have one overseeing authority. But perhaps I should start a campaign. Perhaps I should be the person to start the company that gets hold of all these companies and says, you've got to put your odds on these packs so people know when they're spending money. You could do it through the gambling authority. Maybe I could convince the government that it's a kind of gambling, but it's gambling without odds. Because it is kind of gambling, isn't it? You don't know what you're going to get. And people spend a fortune on these packs and very often don't even get something from the level they wanted to get. Oh, get the government involved. There you go. Big Jim, forget the royal wedding. Cancel the royal wedding. Big Jim wants a word about these packs, about odds. Right, I'm going to do one more match and I'm going to stop talking nonsense and I'm going to go and have a beer and I'm going to carry on doing some of this. So yeah, peeps, if you don't like grinding and you're really not keen on doing this, I just can't stress enough how much this female WrestleMania card will help you. I'm sure there's a lot of you out there who aren't on WrestleMania 34 level and thinking, oh, Jim, I was just going to take up the whole weekend just to do one run. But you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. You know, I've got a lot of responsibilities knocking about and I'd still manage to get most of these things. There's times when I can't, you know, work gets in the way or I'm a doofus and I fall asleep at the wrong moment. But, you know, if I can do it, you can do it. People leaving comments saying, oh, but you've got such great cards. just like everyone else. I started from scratch, started with nothing, and you've got to work your way through to it. You just got to keep playing the events. If you want to get the big cards, if you want to be competitive, you've got to go in for the events. You've got to have an effort, make an effort. And even if you just ended up with The Rock is a flipping good card. Flipping good. You see? I couldn't really edit the t-shirt where he's doing that. I can edit my own language. I can do that. Just for you guys. Right, so where was I with that? I was only about 30 or 40 points in, wasn't I? On Broccoli Legions. Yeah, my taker. I need to pro that. Yeah, I'll very quickly show you my deck. Not that you probably care what it's in my deck, but there's an awful lot of WrestleMania singles. I didn't actually quite realise just how many WrestleMania singles I'd got. Let's do this a bit more quickly. Also, when it comes to the catalogue, some of you will remember that I've done my best to fill out the catalogue with individual cards and pros. I actually was keeping a note at the lower levels. Uncommon cards, catalogue's full. Common and uncommon cards, catalogue's full. Rare cards, for some reason, until they started recently giving you those free packs every 4 hours, you just didn't pull rare cards at WrestleMania level, but I've started to pull some now, so I've written out an extremely long list of rare pros that I need to do. Super rare pros, I've got about 5 or 6 to do, but I don't think that I can do some of them, because it includes the likes of, oh look at that, reached the card limit, includes the likes of Eva Marie. I was 110 points in, I got further than I thought. And Emma, who, I mean, her fusion card's gone, so I'm assuming that perhaps her ordinary card's gone as well. Not deck, you idiot. So there's a few that I haven't done, but I have done now all the fusions. So the only pros that I'm missing, I've mentioned these before, if you look at the Cameron and Brock Lesnar and Bushwhacker Butch there, those are cards that you could carry over from Season 1 to Season 2, but you were limited on how many you could carry over, so I mean those are never gonna appear. As you can see, I carried over a single Chris Jericho. I've just done that Cesaro fusion, so he was the last one there. Super rare, I've done all I can. There's no more I can do on the, sorry, not super rare, Egypt. I'm speaking before I'm thinking, before I'm acting here. Doing my actions. Super rare, ultra rare. Stop saying super rare. Ultra rare. That's what I meant to say. I've done all I can. I don't think, you still get these. I don't know. I've not looked at these packs for years. I remember buying that 40 years ago. As you can see, the actual purple goodness that you can still pull from the decks, I'm fully pro'd out. So they're all done. Epics I've half done. It says 71 out of 102. For some reason I was concentrating on elites, like 103 out of 136, but there's going to be again some cards in there that have come from packs. Some of the throwbacks and some of the Valentine's cards and what have you, and of course some of the Halloween cards, which I'm not going to be able to get. So, do you care about any of this stuff? You probably don't give two flying monkeys about any of this, do you? Right, look, I'll go away, because like, I can see that you're just falling asleep now. You're not listening, are you? It's like, Jim, just shut up, will you? So I will shut up. I shall go away and I shall play some more of this wonderful game known as WWE SuperCard, the finger-tapping frenzy that we all know and love, by myself, because you don't want to play. So, one thing you could do for me, if you did like the video before I started waffling on, bung me a few likes down below, subscribe if you haven't subscribed before, get playing that Road to Glory, people, get playing it. It will make a big difference to your deck. The Rock's a great card. Nia Jax is going to be so important to your deck, and even if we're going to go up a tier in 2 months or even a month's time, big surprise for us all, just get yourself that Nia Jax card and try and get yourself a pro if you can. You might not be able to make it a pro because you might not be able to hit that level in Ringdom next week. And you might be saying, Jim, it's not worth me doing it because I've got to get into Ringdom next week. It's still worth having the single. If you're a lower tier, it's still worth having that as a single. Mark my words. Of course, he said, going back to saying goodbye to people, don't forget there's all the social media. There's Instagram. Put a picture of Ninja Boy up at WrestleMania the other night. A lot of people like that. Thank you very much for that, for those little likes and follows that we got there. There's Facebook. There's Twitter where all the banter is. Until I see you next time, if you care, you stay cool.